on this episode of The Match Query.
Sweden as a team has players that can, come into four to really give that attacking bite. They have Elanga who, well, I'm saying this with a straight face. It will help. It will help, Sha. I would expect that it's going to be a game that can be very open. Poland may actually suffer if Sweden are able to keep out Lewandowski from doing much in that game.
And that's because, again, I know I might be sounding controversial, but there had been a commercial undertone to things that the more the number of big teams, the more sellable the World Cup will have been. However, football is not mathematics. And smaller nations are learning now to become a lot more organized, even in chaos.
First of all, to club football fans, the international breaks have always been like the eyesore in a way. If that's even the word. We typically do not like it. That's honest fact. We typically don't like international breaks.
Three nations, 16 cities, 48 teams, and one golden trophy that has never felt more elusive. From the historic heights of the Estadio Azteca to the bright lights of Sophie Stadium, the stage for the 2026 FIFA World Cup is officially set. But while the world waits for June 11th, the real drama is happening right now. In the mud and in the pressure of the Match International window, the final 6 tickets are being snatched in the last chance playoffs. Can Jamaica make history and qualify? Will European giants survive the path of death? Speaking about Italy. Today, we're breaking down the road to the final. We are looking at heavyweights, Spain, Argentina, and a Thomas Tuchel-led England. And we're asking the question, who do we think will actually hoist the trophy in the new 48-team format of the 2026 World Cup? Grab your kits, grab your query questions. This is a match query, and the road to the World Cup 2026 starts here. So with me, as usual, would be Ojo the Doc, who would be today dissecting how international teams would likely fare in the playoffs and in the tournament as a whole. And then as well, we have the tactical giant of Bonn on the other end, who will be telling us what all the current qualifiers may point us to performances at the World Cup. So to begin today, we quickly look at the fact that the World Cup has been expanded to 48 teams. Final qualification points are still open. And then we have UEFA and then intercontinental playoffs coming up this week to try and see who will grab the final 6 tickets at the World Cup. So, guys, this looks like the most unpredictable World Cup qualification cycle we have seen, probably in our time or in history. We've seen some big teams struggle across different continents. We have Nigeria and Cameroon struggle in Africa. We have Italy and even the likes of Poland struggle in Europe. We've had some teams not even qualify at all. So my question to you, Ojo, is, does this expansion help smaller teams, like the teams we see debuting, the teams from Kosovo coming in, and has it exposed bigger teams in the qualification process?
Thank you for the question, and I'm happy to be here once again. To particularly address the point you just raised, I've got 2 sides to the coin. Given a traditional, when it comes to how I love football, when it comes to how I see international football, I love the traditional archetype. I'm the kind of person that is really, really slow to change, especially if things are working well. So let's get to the nitty-gritty of it. The idea behind the expansion of the number of teams in the World Cup, in my opinion, has come to play because football is now being played in a lot more places than before.
Okay.
So a lot more countries, a lot more, nations are yearning for, regions are yearning for more representation at the world stage. Now, there's pros and cons to that. The pros is that, with that, it helps to continue to make football a living legacy that wouldn't die out so fast.
Yeah.
Here, however, is the catch. In that, sometimes this is controversial, but it's just my own opinion. There's the commercial side of things that we cannot ignore.
Okay.
And that commercial side of things, you really cannot draw the line between where or how much that influences these decisions.
Yeah.
And actually how much the idea behind expansion is just based on the originality and the love for football. Now, in saying that, when you talk of expansion of football and the teams we are now seeing. Yes, we know football is not for the faint-hearted and it's not mathematics. We are now seeing names of teams of countries that we've never ever heard of in international football. Teams that were not popular before. My concern, my reluctance about this is how diluted the quality of football we might possibly be watching might
Okay.
become. For example, let's say Curacao and DR Congo qualify for the World Cup, and in group stages they are playing football. Is that the kind of
Curacao has
thing that
already qualified, by the way. Curacao is already
No,
qualified.
so I'm saying that DR Congo are in group stages
Qualified.
and are
Yeah.
playing. Would you be watching those two nations? Is that the game you will be watching? That's number one. Number two, on one hand, it gives us the opportunity to say we can now watch Curacao, but is it not supposed to be a build-up and not a jump? I mean, it should be that we've been hearing the name Curacao for a while because they've been doing things. Maybe they've even been playing friendlies. They've been invited to tournaments. Now it's like the world is around trend. We just get something new, shiny, build a trend around it, irrespective of the quality, and we just want to get up to it. How much of Curacao in qualifiers? And that leads me to the initial point that I made, that the true reason behind this expansion, is it just for pure footballing reasons, or is this driven mainly by commercial reasons? And when you talk about dilution of quality, take for example, Italy. I know we'll still get to them, but just mentioning them as an example. Italy, Sweden, Greece, Serbia, they've not made it to the World Cup. Some of them are in the playoffs now, right? It's like getting all of these teams into the World Cup through the back door. Same thing with teams from Africa. I believe in a pure qualification system. If you've not made it, you've not made it. Let it be straightforward. The idea behind having many more matches to achieve the same aim, it doesn't just sit well with me. If teams in Europe are going to play a qualifier, you want one team from Europe extra, let it be part of the qualifiers that you have already organized, not another entirely new competition. So
referring to the playoffs then.
Yeah, that's my take about playoffs and and the expansion. It's because of this expansion. That's why the idea of these playoffs has become a lot more robust now. It was there before, but really nobody really paid attention to it because nobody really cared. But it's now very important because these are now major tournaments on their own.
Yeah. So I get the idea of it being a major tournament because it has been brought forward to the forefront. We now even have intercontinental playoffs where you have to take players from one continent all the way to the other continent. For example,
that's
the
like
Congo
another mini World Cup.
Exactly.
That's like another mini World Cup.
Yeah. So I wanted to bring Bon in on this particular idea. Do you think the playoffs are really very, very interesting, engaging? 2, are they necessary? In your opinion, do you think they are very necessary? 3, FIFA say more nations want to be a part of it so that other peoples of the world would be included. Do you think opening the door to, because you know that even the qualification process, sometimes, if for example you put Nicaragua in a bigger qualification group, we probably won't see them at the World Cup. So even that has taken a different shape. Do you think all of this improves the World Cup in general? The playoffs are interesting. Are they worth it? And does it improve the outlook on the World Cup as a whole?
Okay. So Ojo already gave a bit of context to some things I would have actually also wanted to add. Yes, we get the expansion. One country not to have international visibility. If not for an standard 48 World Cup, we probably will not be hearing a Curacao having a chance to come in, or a Kosovo coming in, or even an Uzbekistan finally qualifying.
Yeah.
I get that part. Yeah, I get that part. You get more nations. Let's see more nations and stuff. Yeah,
just to throw a thought into your answer. But FIFA are saying this smaller nations qualifying spices of the World Cup includes more nations into the World Cup. So how does that tie up all into your response?
Well, so it does in a way because, as I said, variety is the price of life. You've not seen some of these nations before. That's fact. Yes. Now, the only thing where I think I can further buttress on Ojo's points is some of these new nations are probably not core footballing nations. I've not really been core footballing nations in the last maybe decade. It's been probably have just let play football as much as other countries. So what's the quality of opposition that they're going to put up? Are they just going to be like walked over? You get?
Yeah.
That may be an angle to look at it where the quality, yes, they've come in, and then the quality that you're expecting in the World Cup final is not there what you are then getting. I get
Yeah.
that point, right? And of course, yes, the whole expanded 48 team has a commercial side to it, which is why I would say probably there's a correlation with expanding to a 48 nation team now, with us now having 3 teams hosting the World Cup. For example,
Okay.
this 2026 own now is the United States, Mexico, and Canada. The 2030 is actually going to be 48 teams. It's going to be hosted by 3 nations as well: Spain, Morocco. I've forgotten the third one, really. You get, maybe it's because of their feeling, okay, let's increase the kind of landscape or outlay of hosting. That could be another
Yeah.
reason, another background agenda to it. Let's make more money, which of course is FIFA. It needs us well for the money.
Yeah.
But then, in as much as yes, it does, you actually have to look at the international landscape. First of all, to club football fans, the international breaks have always been like a eyesore in a way. That's even the word to use. We typically do not like it. That's honest facts.
Yeah.
We typically don't like international breaks, which is what of things that led to conversations where from next season, I think they've collapsed the international window to make it instead of I think 3, it's not like 2 or so.
Yeah, and then
Because, you know, this
expanded
is
one of the window,
an expanded one. That is just the most.
which makes it even
most
more
obvious
of a
thing.
mini competition again. It makes it even
Exactly.
more of, like what Ojo was saying. It makes even the international break more of another competition
Of a
again,
mini competition.
because it's
Yes,
almost a
and
month.
you know, yeah, it's a month. Yeah, it's a month, a whole month.
A
Now,
whole
it means
month
that leagues will have to then plan their calendars to how they will factor
around
in
all of that.
this
Yeah.
new stuff. And there's actually the added that, look, I don't think there's any club football player, any football player does not want to play for their nation. It's pride,
Yeah.
it's glory. Yet it's what it is. And the World Cup is the biggest competition for me in the world of sports. I don't
Yeah.
think you see any sport that is as very connecting or engaging as the World Cup in football. Yeah, some people call it that sport, but the World Cup in football is not the World Cup. It is a premier competition. I think the only other sports competition that comes close to the engagement, connectivity is the Olympics, in my opinion, in terms of bringing people together, the way the World Cup actually does. But to speak around the quality of, is it worth watching? I have not watched a lot of playoff games. I rarely even watch so much ball in international break like that. It's obvious that I started to get engaged to watch. You could say probably because of, you know, the podcast, and we need to be more engaged in the space to, you know, get more updates and games like that. But I don't think it does anything to what a typical fan would. It doesn't change anything, because currently more people are tilted towards watching club football games. It's only in terms where you see maybe continental competitions like the AFCON, the Copa America, you see people very engaged. Yet, or the World Cup, you see people very engaged. But like qualifiers, all those stuff, fans be generally not as type to go and watch those ones. Unless maybe it is times when, like now, the playoff where a lot of football fans know that their country, their future of going to the World Cup is on the line. For example, you will see Italian fans very, very tuned in against their game against Bosnia. Like, of course, they'll be tuned in because they need to win this game to make the World Cup. You sit here with Turkish fans. So it will be more segregated to the countries that are really like in the thick of the moment, that really need this stuff. Like, for example, now, if Nigeria was going to go to the Confederations playoff finals now, we would be involved, because if we win this game, we are going to clinch a World Cup ticket. But in a way, and to piggyback to Ojo's points, yes, there's an expanded stuff. To be fair, they could do this competition once. This whole qualifications can be done once, and they will get their same 48 teams. They've just broken it down in this very weird pattern where
I think that is to include teams from the Kosovo region and all the rest. Because if you do it once, you will still merge those continents together.
Yeah, it's fine, but I'm still saying that there could still be a format in which they go back to the drawing board. They can still do a competition in which they can get their 48 teams without having to do all these numerous playoffs. For me, I feel one of the reasons where my own conspiracy theory is, one of the reasons why they did all this broken down playoff is to generate some quick cash,
extra revenue,
some revenue. Yes, extra revenue. You know, before
make more money, move games in between countries, make them increase the fixtures.
See the game that Brazil and France had. They played it in the United States. They called it Road to 2026. What was the allure of that tournament? It was like, for me, like testing the pitch. Let's do like a test to see.
It was more than testing the pitch, because yesterday a big debate broke out of that fixture concerning the quality of coverage The video quality was bad. The commentary wasn't great. The picture quality, viewing players on the pitch, was questionable. And it rose a lot of debate. So can you briefly speak to that?
I watched the game, and the first thought that came to my mind is, what kind of video coverage is this?
Yeah, and people are worried. A lot of fans reacted negatively.
I won't speak to the commentary coverage because I'm very sure the commentators would be finalized before the World Cup. This one is probably let's use, I won't speak to that. But around the video coverage, I agree. The quality wasn't as great as it is, and if that's what they are going to show us in the 2026 World
There
Cup,
are already talks. I think there are already talks of them moving some of the directors and coordinators of video coverage.
No, they need to move because
this morning I saw that they need to change some people to make it work.
Have you watched? Abba, you've watched some of the games, even when the Premier League did the summer series in the United States now for the past 2 seasons. You've seen the quality of coverage, you know?
Yeah, it was high. It was higher.
It's always very.
It's not clear, but it was even higher than the one we saw we saw yesterday.
And in the FIFA Club World Cup. So I feel sometimes it goes to the kind of people that you actually have in terms of the broadcasting.
Put in charge of it.
In the FIFA World Cup, in the FIFA Club World Cup, they gave it to the Zone. So the Zone was a very huge. So the quality was quite good in terms of who they've given. So I think they will still be in the process of analyzing those things. So let's see how it's going to be around. But apart from that, that's just a brief thoughts. I don't think the playoff does anything the kind of increasing the allure to it. It's just going to be the same thing that we've done. In terms of competition, yes, I get the fact that you need to expand more teams to bring in more people. Because I won't lie, if not for this, because probably Uzbekistan may not have come in, Curacao qualifying in. Now we have some other teams that are in the horizon of qualification. You have Kosovo, Suriname, like teams that you probably have not heard of. And it's good. And it's good for some of these countries because if they have hidden talents in those countries, World Cup is a very good place for you to showcase yourself as a player. You come in, you shine, and you get a good club move. So yeah.
So final thoughts for both of you, but I won't give you guys the same question. Final thoughts on all this playoffs and qualifiers stuff as a whole before we go into the fixtures is one would have thought expanding the World Cup would help some of the big nations who didn't qualify, and that didn't happen. OJ, I want to ask you, why do you think that didn't happen? Just in a quick summary. Then to you, Bon, I want you to think about this, right? Did the new setup actually help smaller teams to qualify? Now, we're not looking at the likes of Curacao, we're looking at where debuting teams have come into play, both in Africa and some of the bigger Oceania regions, where we now have teams debuting, like Congo having a chance of going since the 1970s. The last time they went was in 1976. How does that affect that? And then, Ojo, I want you to take your bit. So yeah, let's speak.
Yeah, so I want to start by responding to what Bon said before about the TV deal structures. One thing FIFA is doing is that, as we well know, they are selling the TV rights in batches across regions. They finalized the TV rights deal for the World Cup for US. So I'm assuming that, at least things will already be in motion. It would be unacceptable in the very least if not cutting things right about things like, video quality, coordination, and of logistics around that by now. Because we might think it's just 3 months to the World Cup, but in actual sense,
80 days, less than 3 months, 80 days to the World Cup.
So that's the thing. So we are now less than 13 weeks to the World Cup. And I don't want to be controversial, but this is a World Cup in peculiar circumstances, considering the global events that are surrounding things at this time. But I wouldn't want to go deep into that. But seeing that and seeing all the things we are saying, I want to say, compared to previous World Cups, this doesn't look like the smoothest of preparations by the host countries or by FIFA themselves leading to the World Cup.
Actually, I agree with that.
The question Abba asked is,
we would have expected some bigger teams to take advantage of the expected format.
Yes.
But we still have some of them not making it, like Nigeria, Cameroon, Greece, Serbia.
That assumption is based on the fact that this expansion would make qualification easier for bigger teams. And that's because, again, I know I might be sounding controversial, but there had been a commercial undertone to things that the more the number of big teams, the more sellable the World Cup would have been. However, football is not mathematics. And smaller nations are learning now to become a lot more organized, even in chaos. There are a lot more countries that are playing the way Sunderland is playing. And if it is just one game you need, all they need to do is to at least drag the game to penalties.
Yeah.
That's all they need to do.
Which we saw in the playoffs.
Exactly. So again, what we are seeing is an offshoot of assumptions that were made, that this would have been a good, it would have been a good way to showcase big teams historically, traditional teams. Let's take, for example, Italy. Italy have not qualified for 2 consecutive World Cups, right? They are in the playoffs now. There is no guarantee that they will qualify.
We'll get to that soon. We will definitely get to that.
So, and I'm sure that FIFA would have been thinking, Italy, for example, and that's why I'm saying that in planning these things, I would have thought that if your love is for pure football, why don't you make it such that the playoffs, you talk to regional bodies and let them know that, okay, this is the number of slots you have for your region. We are going to give 1 slot to the region covering the likes of Curacao, bless them, and all the other parts. Middle East, this is OFC. This is what the number of slots you have. Be straightforward, be transparent with it. Don't create all these new problems again, new logistics and all these things. Now, in the end, what we will see is that you play more games, more knockout scenarios, and that creates more opportunities for surprises. That's football for you. For slippages, I wouldn't be shocked if Italy does not make it to a 3rd consecutive World Cup, for example. We already know Nigeria, a traditional footballing giant, has crashed out. Same with Cameroon. So on one hand, maybe that might have been the aim, but see where we are. So it didn't just happen. All of this didn't just happen because, the gap didn't close. It's just that the illusion we used to have about the World Cup being a competition where you see the best of football from the big footballing nations, that illusion disappeared. Those are my thoughts.
So, Bon, yours?
So what I'm going to even say, right, is one of the good things about the World Cup is the fact that that always had this view of meritocracy. It's the person that merits it that would be there. And I know your question to me was, did he actually allow the smaller teams to qualify? I think another thing we've seen over the past 2 World Cups is the inefficiency of some bigger teams. Federation inefficiency, not really like
footballing
inefficiency. It's more like federation inefficiency trickling down to affect
into the footballing.
If you look at like in Nigeria, for example, just look at it. They are quality players, but there's no quality leadership to guide the players to. And it was too late. By the time they got in somebody that could band them together and use the skill set of those players to get results, it was already
their destiny was already set.
It was already gone in a way. And if you look at Italy, we've spoke about Italy in a couple of our pods where we've all agreed to the fact that Italy's problem is not the fact that they don't have footballers there. It's a structural stuff.
It's structural, cultural problem.
Their domestic league as well. So you can actually see how many international coaches have they had in the past 3 years. I think the current one now is Gennaro Gattuso. And if you ask me now, is Gattuso the right ideology for a World Cup team? My short answer right now is no. Ojo is the one that follows Italian Serie A more. So he's probably going
to handle the preview of the Italian team very soon.
He's going to probably tell me if he's the right person. Ojo's face don't hit it.
The thing is that the Italian football, I'm sorry, I'm a sucker for Italian football, but the Italian national football now, the administration around it, I don't think has been optimal, especially over the last few years. I mean, for that team known to be that big, and
this is bad actually.
This is the interesting thing about them. It's only their football that is really suffering. If you look at all the other sporting representations that, all the competitions that they've participated in, all the other competitions, be it tennis, be it rugby, they've been doing well, surprisingly well.
Basketball too.
Yes.
Basketball too. And other sports. It's just football actually.
Just football. And it's just because the old powers are hanging on to power and they are not allowing change. Because
And if you look at
tell
that
me how
too,
you go from Mancini to Spalletti, and we are now at General Gattuso,
that's so.
a coach that has not ever been tested in top
Gattuso.
international football or even built up to it. You know, like if you have not even been, let's say it's even your first rodeo, you would have built up to it, maybe reputation at club level, you've won something. Tell me one thing that, you know, a moment you can remember General Gattuso as a coach for.
My brother, none.
Now that is the person in charge of Italian national football team. I don't want to go into the details about how we are not sure. You know, when you know coaches, you say, Pep Guardiola always going to play 4-3-3. He has been successful with it. I don't want to go into details of how we cannot identify a system or a tactical outlay that is peculiar to General Gattuso. But well, I'll leave the rest to you. So because I will just keep ranting on about.
So Bon,
No, it's fine. So another thing I said was, as I said, federation inefficiencies. Cameroon that actually did not qualify. I mean, you've seen the Baz Bulls that have been going on with Peter.
Yeah.
So you can see that some of this meddling, the politicking, affected some of the big teams, especially from Africa and probably even South America, for them not to qualify. And some of these smaller teams that, you know, they are starting, they're
excited to try and make it.
Excited. Yeah. They are now able to seize the opportunity.
So I want to bring in something, because what you've just mentioned is very, very important. Now, you know, one of the things we mentioned in one of our previous episodes when we're talking about how football is, I think it was our last episode, and we're talking about how football is, football administration is, and probably what the solutions should be, you know, to stem corruption.
Yeah.
I know many people will have watched FIFA Uncovered on Netflix, so I'm not going to go into details of that. I guess these are my thoughts now. I think that the way FIFA is interacting with member associations and regional associations, it looks like they are encouraging corruption, especially with the big traditional known members. Now, I'm not speaking to every member association. I'm speaking to some member associations in
and a lot of it
in
CAF.
Yes, because if you look at how everything is now, it is looking like maybe we are now not totally wanting to reward merit. Let the big teams come in. That's why we have expanded this whole thing. That's what led us to this point, right? Now, so also we are looking to make a lot more money so we can give more money to more people. We don't care about the quality of, maybe we care a little bit about the quality of football on display. But
to the fact that, you know, the top 10 teams in the world will turn up from the quarterfinals of what?
But if you actually dip it, between me and you, the quality of football being played by Brazilian national team 15 years ago is not the same quality of football from Brazilian national team that we are getting now. There might be
many nations seem to have that trend.
Trends around what we are getting now, a lot of TikTok. But if you sit down and get yourself invested, players are not as committed again as before.
And it's not just even Brazilian national teams. If you look at some other teams that you'd expect to get that kind of stuff, bro, you are really, really getting it. But Brazil is the one with the biggest outlook, because they've churned out a lot of stars over the years. And as Oja has just rightly said, the attitude towards the commitment really has not been there. That's why I don't even want to touch base on this whole Neymar situation.
All right. So I'm really loving this and the multifaceted approach we're giving all of this. So we're not leaving anything out. So moving on to the matchup finals, like it's the playoff finals, like it's being called. We have a number of matchups that are coming up this week. And I would start quickly with one because we've already raised them. They've been a focal point of our conversation so far. Versus Bosnia. Now, before we drop our opinions, I want to put some flesh to bones. And this is what has happened during the playoffs for Italy. They've been a low-scoring side who are focused on defending first. They have struggled all across the qualifiers to break down teams. Now, they have struggled so much scoring that it's difficult to have a clear highest goal scorer in the qualification process. They have more assist players than goal scorers. That's how widespread and few the goals have been. You have Barella and Chiesa. No, we're talking about Italy. Italy for now.
Let's talk about.
Okay. I'll give you that of Bosnia. So we have Nico Barella and Federico Chiesa leading the assist table with 4 assists and 3 respectively. Chiesa is not a starter at Liverpool. Donnarumma has been the star.
He's not even playing in this particular one. I think he pulled out.
Yeah, so he's not even playing in the playoffs. So whereas one less of their stars of the qualifiers gone. Donnarumma has been the star of the qualifying process for Italy with a 70% save ratio, 78% saving percentage. So they don't concede much because of Donnarumma, but they also don't score. They only score when it seems to matter to cross over the line. The team they are playing is Bosnia, who are exactly in the same mode as Italy, gritty and thrive on very tight games. So Eddie Dzeko, old and gold, has scored 6 goals in the qualifiers for them. Pjanic has been helping with assisting. So, Ojo, this is your team, Italy, we are talking about here. What do you think about this matchup that is coming up, and who do you think will make it to the World Cup finals?
I'm not optimistic about Italy at all. I mean, the last game they played, it was expected that they should win. If they did not win that game, we shouldn't even be here having this discussion. But while they are here, we are not going to dwell on past mistakes. But even seeing how that team played that last game, I don't want to go into the details of that. Knowing what Bosnia is and how they play, how they set up, I think. Now, I know a lot of people might disagree with this. I think Bosnia might just edge it 1-0. Just to confirm or clarify again, what team does Gyökeres play for?
Sweden.
Gyökeres plays for Sweden.
For Sweden, okay.
Yeah.
Well, Edin Dzeko and all of that, I just think they are just going to edge it. The game is going to be very tight, and it's going to be won on fine margins. Those are my thoughts. On the other hand, I see that there might be possibility that, the game might drag on to extra time and, it will be up for the taking. It will be based on luck. Maybe it drags into PK. But it's not going to be a game that will be decided easily by, really clear margins, where you have a team scoring 3-0. No. I think it's going to be a low scoring game.
Okay.
Might go anywhere, but I'm not optimistic about it at all for Italy.
Okay. All right. Bon, I want you to do some breakdown for Sweden versus Poland coming up. Now, again, I'll give you a little bit background where Sweden is basically one of the most attacking teams currently based on form in the playoffs. And we have Gyökeres, who scored a hat-trick in the game against Ukraine to get them this far. And then we have Kulusevski, who is contributing a good number of assists. And throughout the playoffs, when Sweden have scored first, they usually win the game. And they are playing on Poland, another team that has struggled with goals. Not necessarily. They don't score when Lewandowski doesn't play. So they only score or win games whenever Lewandowski scores. And they've had to rely heavily on Lewandowski. So we have a team that Graham Potter, former Chelsea manager, has kind of helped them find their rhythm in Sweden, who started an abysmal qualification run before Potter took over.
Yeah.
And we're almost out, literally, before he saved their season. And then we have a Poland, a very team that once Lewandowski is kept quiet, it seems to be over for Poland. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, so my issue is even more Poland than Sweden. Yes, because Sweden currently Kulusevski is never going to even play. He's injured. So, but that has not stopped them from playing the way they played against Ukraine. And even Ukraine as a team, they're really not also that great presently for a lot of reasons and factors. So I expected Sweden to walk them over. I know we were discussing before we started the pod where I said Graham Potter and national football may actually mix very well.
Yeah.
This could actually be a part where it shows more, because I think one of the issues that we had with him when he even joined Chelsea was, can he do it over a 38 game consistency?
Consistency,
He's
yeah.
That plan for a game every single week, which he showed. It looks like it
He
was too
couldn't
much
do
information.
Yeah.
Especially when he's under pressure. At Brighton, he could do it because he wasn't really under pressure. And even at Brighton, it's not like he started performing immediately. It took him a bit of time to walk into it. Again, so with Sweden, I think Sweden is a country where he actually came into the limelight. His coaching career took a huge leap in Sweden. So he's very, very known
familiar
in Sweden.
Yeah.
Yes, he's very, very familiar with Sweden. So I feel that familiarity actually is helping him as well. He's someone that he speaks Swedish very well.
Yeah.
So he communicates in the language, which is something that will help bridge that gap. About Poland, as you actually noticed, when Lewandowski is kept silent, that's it. You also look at the amount of players they have. I think they have Matikash from Aston Villa. They have Kivior from Kivior. Is Kivior still at Arsenal? I think he has left. He went on loan, Abi, to Porto, so if I'm not mistaken. Then they have Bednarek. Yeah, they have this guy, Zielinski, was previously at Napoli. But collectively without Lewandowski, Poland loses their attacking bites because no other person steps up to like score goals in that country. But now you have a Sweden that if it's the attack, they have it because Gyökeres has hit a level of form. Especially in national team in the qualifier so far, he has been on a very, very good run of form. And Sweden as a team has players that can, come into fore to really give that attacking bite. They have Elanga who, well, I'm saying this with a straight face. Hot. It will help. It will help, Sha. I would expect that it's going to be a game that can be very open. Poland may actually suffer if Sweden are able to keep out Lewandowski from doing much in that game. And you can see Lewandowski even at club football, and now it's getting easier to remove him out of games tactically.
Yeah.
Once you're able to mark him out of certain games, there's really much you expect him to do. I think he's someone that's actually even watching himself, where there's certain runs Lewandowski of Bayern Munich and Dortmund would make that he doesn't make right now. But of course, he needs to watch himself and to play more games.
Yeah.
You can't just run after certain balls anywhere. What is a muscular injury is going to get. So the way I see it, it's a very open game. I actually would see Sweden because they've hit a level of form. So I actually may see Sweden tipping it, but just slightly.
So
Because of the attacking prowess they actually have, that I feel as Poland really don't have collectively as a team.
just a little bit of diversion on Sweden. Sweden didn't win a game throughout the group stages until the playoff. They lost home and away to Kosovo. They lost home and away to Switzerland. And they qualified based on getting draws to Slovenia. Now, in some of those games, Gyökeres and Alexander Isak were both present in the qualifiers.
Yeah,
And
Alexander
now,
Isak is up there
with
right now.
Isak injured, Gyökeres seemed to have picked up with Sweden. In just 1 minute, what do you think? I mean, how does a dynamic work? What happens that he has come to life without Alexander Isak?
Really, the tactical outlook, the coach that they use is different from the coach now. So the coach, then I've forgotten his name, played the 4-4-2, where he deployed Isak and Gyökeres. And it worked, to be fair, it actually worked because you have two strikers that are stylistically different, where Isak is able to drop down deeper and play like a 10 to create more space and leave Gyökeres to run into channels.
Well, sorry for cutting
in a
you.
way.
If you lost to Kosovo home and away with 2 of them and lost to Switzerland, do you still say it worked?
No, I will not say it worked. I'm trying to give you a outlook of the tactical play they had then.
Yeah.
You get.
Okay.
But now with Gyökeres, with Potter doesn't play 2 strikers, he plays 1 striker, so it's clearer. So even if Isak was available, it would either be Isak or Gyökeres he starts. Yeah.
Okay.
It's because Gyökeres is the only one available right now, and of course, he's the main striker. It's not that the main striker mentality.
Yeah.
I just feel the chances creating right now in this current play, watching him in the last, I think, as Potter coached 2 games, I think this is the second game he's coaching. They drew the first one.
He drew the first one
and they won
that
this
got
one.
them into the playoffs. Yes. All right.
So they got into the playoff right now. So I just feel it's down to the tactical outlook of the coach, which is Graham Potter.
Denmark has been a goal-scoring machine in the qualifiers. They kind of score a lot, and then they control. Højlund seemed to have picked up form. Coincidentally, for Denmark, at the same time, he picked up the same form with Napoli.
For Napoli.
Yes. Eriksen has also contributed to Denmark qualifying and going this far. Right? So, in the playoff, you can consider them to be the most balanced team with reasonable control in midfield, reasonable defenders, and
World Cup experience.
And World Cup experience, and then Højlund hitting form up front. Czech Republic, on the other hand, well, in recent years, not as big as they were some years ago, and they have focused on being tough and disciplined in the middle and in defense. And that is why most of their games have been built around players like Souček, who is very defensive and then goes up, produces a threat up front through set piece. Then we also have Schick, who also does well leading the line up front. They are not a team that plays with flair or flashy. They don't really play to impress you, but they also don't lose easily, right?
Yeah, they don't.
So, please, what do you think would happen between these both teams in the playoff final?
So, as actually already noted, to be fair, first thing I would say that both nations have players with experience. Yet, Czech Republic here have not gone for a lot of. They've not performed up to their previous standard in international competitions, but they have some experience here. You've mentioned Souček, you've mentioned Schick.
Yeah.
There's also Sofal.
Yeah.
Kosovo is there.
Yeah, the
And
fallback.
so they have that kind of experience, you guess, in that thing.
Yeah.
And they have some young guys like Kretzy, this Wolves Kretzy,
Yeah.
actually doing very well for them. But
Mhm.
Denmark as a whole, Denmark as a team have had very good international performance over the past maybe 8 years, both
Okay.
at World Cups, at
Mhm.
Euro competitions, at qualifiers. Yes, they struggled with this current qualifiers, which is why they're now coming to make it through the
Yeah.
playoffs.
To be
But
fair,
then you
they
see
had
that
Greece and Scotland to contend with.
yes, so yeah, that's not really a small side to go with. But if you look at it again, they have a team that collectively, Schmeichel as the goalie in the
Mhm.
goalkeeper position. They have Damsgaard from Brentford. They have Norgard.
Brun
They have
Larsen,
Højlund that's picked up from. Like if
Dolberg.
you look at the team,
Mhm.
Dolberg, or yeah, if you look at the team, they are a team that and Eriksen there to give
Yeah.
more. So they are a team that they know how to perform in international competitions
Yeah.
in a way. They can turn up. So based on that experience of having a team that collectively put together in international competitions and actually gotten results,
Yeah.
and the way they dispatched North Macedonia, yet
Mhm.
you would feel like they are coming to this team with, and I even forgot this guy that is currently in hot form, the Ormond, currently in
Yes.
hot form. So it's
And
a team
Ursula.
that they have people that
Ursula.
you still have Ursula.
Newcastle United.
So if you look at it,
Yeah.
they're not a very they are not a bad team at all.
Yeah.
So I would expect it to go down Denmark's way, just because I feel they have more international pedigree at the moment than Czech Republic.
Okay.
Remember,
So
just like we've said before, that
yeah.
the whole idea behind this whole thing was to make the big teams qualify. But it wouldn't be a shock to to see an upset. I wouldn't be surprised if Denmark sorry about that. Are unable to make it at the expense if Czech Republic qualify at the expense of Denmark. It won't be a surprise at all.
Okay, so where
Yeah.
we expect a real surprise, Ojo, if you can, is in the game between Turkey versus Kosovo. Kosovo shocked everyone in their qualifying by finishing second in the group. They shocked everyone. They dispatched Sweden home and away in the group qualifiers. So they've been like the talk of Europe when it comes to the qualifier fixtures. And they take on Turkey, who have some brilliant, young, explosive players led by Adagula. They also have Çalhanoğlu in their team. So Turkey play with a little bit of very dangerous chaos football, right? They just try
Kosovo
to
dispatched Slovakia
very true.
to get to this part.
To get to this point. So Kosovo are no pushover as far as this qualifier is concerned. They have shown over the last 1 year, last 18 months, that their football has a direction, right? A team we would not look at before now seem to be showing some kind of direction. Now they're a fast transition team. Turkey chaos, Kosovo very quick transition. Nobody expected them to get this far, but they've used that to their advantage. Teams expect to come and give them a game, and then they just use their fast transitions to dismantle people. So they have momentum, they have fast transitions, they have Mariki scoring, Rashika assisting. So these are not Aneslani. So this, so maybe they may not be household names for our fans out there or for people who are not deeply into the nitty-gritty of club football. But these players in their respective smaller clubs are hitting it big for Kosovo. And so for someone like myself, I think if there's an upset, it's Kosovo versus Turkey. Because Turkey have the bigger European players on paper.
Mm-hmm.
But Kosovo has a team that is very in sync at the moment. So what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think what got Turkey here and why we are talking about Turkey in the first place is that we know Turkey can win or lose any game.
Inconsistent, very inconsistent.
Yeah, very inconsistent.
And that's where Kosovo becomes a very slippery test for Turkey. And I'll tell you why. Kosovo, over these, qualifiers, has shown something. If you are inconsistent, you'll be punished.
Yes.
You will be punished. It's the same theme around smaller teams that we've been discussing. That illusion that big teams will always get even if they struggle, they will still always edge it out. That illusion, it has disappeared. Do you get? And the thing is, in knockout football, discipline over moments, discipline over emotions. And that's what we've seen Kosovo do. Kosovo don't care if, you're chaotic, excitingly chaotic. They don't really give a damn. Do you get? They will do what they will do. They just need to. And the thing is that they are like the Bodo Glimt of international football. But if you were to ask me my own opinion, I'll say I think Turkey would win this particular fixture. Yes, I know Kosovo has had exciting players and they have an exciting bunch. And it's the reason I still keep saying, for teams like Turkey and Kosovo, maybe if they've said, okay, for Europe, there will be one extra slot. So create the groups in such a way that everybody will qualify. There's no need for playoffs again. Everybody will just qualify and then we end it there.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there will have been room for teams like Kosovo. Maybe they won't be needing to play Turkey again. But FIFA, there's the commercial side. We would all like to see Turkey at the World Cup, and that's why we are here.
Okay.
But I think Turkey would edge it based on the quality they have. They tend to really perform when nobody's really expecting anything. Nobody's really expecting nobody's really thinking about Turkey. Now, people are really focused on the much more bigger teams.
Yeah.
But Turkey is a team I would like to see at the World Cup because also my boy Yildiz plays for Turkey. So I'd like to see him at the World Cup. So that might be sentiment, but I think Turkey would win.
Okay, now let's look at the intercontinental playoffs for a minute. And Jamaica are taking on DR Congo. We have the fast and physical Jamaica, Leon Bailey, Mikel Antonio, strictly fast and physical. Yeah, Hutchison, exactly. Omari Hutchison, strictly fast and physical. That's what they're all about, right? They just go boom. And then they're taking on DR Congo from Africa, where you have players like Johan Wissa running things for Congo. Yes, Bakambu running things for them from the middle. Yeah, so this stirs up a little bit of emotion because it's still like two black nations playing, basically, even though they're from two different continents. What are your thoughts, Bon?
So I've not really watched a lot of Jamaica games, to be fair. I can speak to some of the players that are linked there.
Yeah.
Mikel Antonio, Omari Hutchison, Leon Bailey. I know there are a couple of Jamaican players. Let me just pull up their lineups with their squad real quick. I know there are a couple of Jamaican players that if you actually look at, we are familiar with. So let's see this. Okay.
So what you're looking at?
Brentford. Pinokita is actually there as well from Brentford. There is Dikobada Reed, Bobby Dikobada, the guy from Fulham that now went to Leicester City.
Yeah.
So if you look at it, they have a couple of players that have played. Then there's Demara Gray.
Demara Gray
now. So so if you look at that forward alone, Seth is, as I said, is attack.
Yeah.
It's attack. So they have a collection of players that are at club level at some various clubs.
I think you actually forgot one of Chelsea's young stars at Leicester City. Duvan Richards. Duvan Richards at Leicester City. He's Jamaican as well.
Duvan Richards.
Yeah.
Duvan Richards too as well. So if you look at it, they have a team that, if you look at it quality-wise and various club levels, they've shown forth, right?
Yeah.
But we've not seen them a lot in international competitions. But they've done so well this part, even coming this far. The Reggae Boys, they've done pretty well to come this far. DR Congo, we are familiar with DR Congo. We've seen DR Congo do very well. Especially the fact that DR Congo, one of the things that they actually did well was to make sure that they got most of the international players to give allegiance to them and play.
Yes.
You've seen a lot of international players come and play for the DR Congo. So it's a game that is going to just be very even. It's going to just even itself out. I don't think I know what I'm going to take there in that fixture. I'm just going to just enjoy the fixture as it is. I feel any of them can, on their day, qualify out, to be fair.
Yeah. Okay, so the last playoff fixture is between Iraq and Bolivia. Bolivia is a team that has struggled whenever they play away from home, and people believe it's due to altitude. Bolivia has a very high altitude, and people believe they turn it to their advantage playing at home. So they always struggle when they go to lower altitudes and better places. Iraq, on the other hand, being led by Australian coach Graham Arnold, is on the brink of, if they can topple Bolivia playing at the World Cup. Now, here's the thing. Would Bolivia being away from high altitude help level the playing field between Bolivia and Iraq?
It would be a factor because we've seen international friendlies where other countries have gone to play Bolivia. It's not been easy. If you're playing them at home, that attitude, it almost takes the life out of you.
Yeah.
Iraq have actually had some bit of turbulent spells. They've started playing a bit better towards this to get to this particular playoff now. I'm knowing the fact that if you look at where Iraq is playing at, the AFC.
Yeah.
The AFC is not a very easy continent to play with, because in the AFC you have Australia.
Yeah.
The AFC you have Iran. In the AFC you have South Korea. In the AFC
Mhm.
you have Japan.
Yeah.
So, and these teams on a good day, in the AFC again, you have Saudi Arabia that have been
Yeah.
picking up recently quite
Mhm.
well. You get even Qatar too have been showing some signs. So you have
South
some
Korea.
Middle East teams. You have some teams that have invested very well in their
Yeah.
domestic leagues.
Yeah.
Now it's affecting their national team performance. It has not been in that same boat, in that same boat over the years, right? But they've gotten a coach that I think Gramano has helped kind of giving a bit of identity to them. The altitude team will be a very good factor because Iraq, of course, they've not really cared about playing against altitude and stuff. But Bolivia, it has actually affected them. I think I watched one Bolivia finals where they played away from home. It almost looks like they didn't know what to do to an extent.
Mm.
Let's see if Iraq uses that to play with their, because I feel I've seen some of Iraq's games.
Yeah.
They don't play very bad. It's not that
Mhm.
when they meet these other big EFC contenders, they just blow them out of the water. Because those ones, of course, what I expect.
Okay. All right. 2 final segments, and then we can call it a wrap. Born Italy, Bosnia prediction. What do you think would happen?
About that game.
Yeah. So, what is your
Right
prediction?
now,
What's your prediction?
I really don't like all these predictions.
Who
But
goes
let's
through?
try this
Okay.
thing out.
No goal line prediction. Who goes
Okay.
through? Italy, Bosnia. Who goes through?
Because of I don't trust Gattuso. I don't trust Gattuso. Bosnia may likely go through.
Interesting. Bosnia. Okay. All right. Great.
Bosnia may
So
likely go through. But I don't trust Gattuso.
here's another one for you. Sweden, Poland. Who goes through?
I think Sweden go.
Okay.
I think
Sweden.
Sweden goes through.
So
Because
we
they're
have
attacking forward.
Bosnia,
I think they actually go through.
Sweden. Okay. Denmark, Czech Republic. Who goes through?
I think Denmark goes through.
All right. Turkey versus Kosovo. Who goes through?
Kosovo have done well, but as Ojo said, Turkey have a way of shining better when they're under massive pressure. I think we saw that at the last Euros and the last World Cup. Like they just know how to turn up, and they have they have quality in their team to sit over the line too. And Kosovo have played very well, banded together. I think Turkey narrowly goes through.
Okay. All right. So I'm just going to give you rapid, quick fire sessions here for us to round up. For this particular playoff, if there was one game you think there would be an upset, which would it be? Italy, Bosnia, Sweden, Poland, Denmark, Czech, Turkey, Kosovo. One upset.
Italy, Bosnia.
Italy, Bosnia. And who is going to be upsetting? Bosnia to upset Italy. Okay, great. Again, within this same European fixtures, in fact, I think I forgot a couple of games, the intercontinental games, correct? Jamaica, Congo,
Suriname.
the thing goes through.
Jamaica, Congo. I would say I would say I would say I want to have solidarity with my African brothers. So let's say DR Congo.
DR Congo goes through.
Let's
All
say
right.
DR Congo goes through.
Iraq versus Bolivia. Who goes through?
I think Iraq goes through.
Wow. Big. I would take that as an offset. So that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah, I think Iraq goes through.
Okay.
If they can capitalize on this, so away from us.
All right. So pick one game you think will go to penalty shootout.
One game that goes to penalty shootouts.
If you had to
the game
pick.
that looks like we could go to penalty shootouts is the game I think the upset would be.
Italy versus Bosnia.
That's the game
Interesting.
I'm looking at. I'm like, this team may go to penalty shootouts because the thing is, Italy are gritty,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Bosnia are actually also gritty. They just have more attacking output than Italy.
Okay. So
So
in the whole of this playoff finals, which player do you think will catch the headlines? We saw that last week. Gyökeres caught the headline with a hat trick. Who do you think catches the headline this time around? Well, guess.
catches the headlines.
Do you think Gyökeres of Sweden, Højlund of Denmark, Johan Wissa of Congo?
I have two players. I think Gyökeres would come to catch the headline again.
Okay.
I also think Kenan Yildiz of Turkey.
Kenan Yildiz. Proof. Good.
Yeah, I think Kenan Yildiz of Turkey has it. Yeah. All this one is just guessing. All this one is just we're just guessing based on intuition. But yeah, basically,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So I'm going to leave our hot takes for much after the playoffs is done. So generally, just a teaser for the World Cup. Who do you think will be a dark horse? Name 3 teams that you consider dark horses at the coming World Cup.
Norway is number 1.
Norway. Haaland's Norway.
I know they've not qualified to the World Cup in a while.
Yeah.
They just got there. And they've been playing pretty well after qualifying, even during qualifying.
Okay.
They've been playing pretty well. I can't really remember all the teams that are going to the World Cup that are qualified right now.
So-
That of course. Okay, let's see. Okay, I think I have a list pulled up. So there's England, there's Germany. These ones are normal guys that I think
Yeah.
the Europe guys and the normal guys that you expect to be fair. Then you see Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, Colombia. Paraguay actually qualifies another team again.
Okay.
So I think I've seen Paraguay. The last time I saw Paraguay in an international competition, they did pretty well. They did very, very well, in fact. But they didn't just go through. But they're not a team that will put my money into to be like a dark horse. But in Africa,
I was going to call that
Morocco. I won't call Morocco
Ooh.
because Morocco has already done that. No, Morocco has done a dark horse thing for me. The last World Cup, they got to the semi-final. So I don't know what other dark horse they can do again. The only dark horse they can do that is to make the final. No. If they get to semi-final now, they'll be like, they've done it before. It's possible. But I'm looking at Senegal, actually. I'm actually looking at Senegal. I'm actually looking at Senegal to actually pull some kind of. Then in that Asia, this may be wild. This may be a very wild thing. But Uzbekistan,
You think they'll get out of the group stage?
they may not get out of the group stage, but they may make some teams strong in that group stage.
Okay.
They may not get out of the group stage. And the reason I'm picking Uzbekistan from Asia is because I expect Japan to play. Japan they've come to play football every time they've come. South Korea, and us. I don't know
Do you
if
think
the quality is still there.
any African or Asian team will get to the semis at this year's World Cup?
Some Asian teams, not really.
Okay.
Asian teams, I don't think so. Some African teams have the capacity to.
Get
Morocco
to
and
the-
Senegal, yes, have the capacity to get. They have very good teams. They have certain teams that, and the way they even play currently, they play to a couple of European team standards already. I think we've said this. If Easy was on the pod today, we've said it before. At Senegal, exactly the way they even play, play with that kind of standard in their game. So I look at Morocco and Senegal and I'm saying these are because I do not trust any other African team. You have Algeria, Tunisia, Cote d'Ivoire, South Africa, Ghana. But Morocco and Senegal are potentially African teams that can make it pretty far.
So to wrap it up, we have the top 10 teams in FIFA rankings have 7 European teams, 2 South American teams, and then 1 African team in Morocco placed at number 8. If the World Cup were to play tomorrow, of course, all of these predictions could change when the World Cup is closer at hand. But if the World Cup was to kick off tomorrow, who would you tip to take the trophy home?
I don't have a favorite right now.
Yeah, but who would you tip?
My favorite is these 3 teams that I'm looking at to say you guys can likely do this team.
Okay.
France is a team I look at to say these guys can likely win the World Cup. They have a very, very solid team. No, sorry, let me scratch that. France defense is suspect.
Okay.
But France attack. I don't know what to say. I also have Argentina there. And I have Spain. So Spain, Argentina, France right now are looking like teams that can win the World Cup. I don't know who.
In that particular order, Spain, France.
No, in no particular order.
In no particular order,
please.
All right. So the top 3 teams.
A winner right now can come from these 3 teams. Oh, are they currently the top 3 teams in the world?
They are currently the top 3 teams in the world.
Imagine. See, you see life? I didn't even know. So yeah, I actually think within these 3 teams.
All right. So we would be dropping our anchor here at this wonderful World Cup discussion. We know that tickets are disappearing. We are watching teams battle out for the final playoff matches to get other 42 teams to join the other 42 teams at the party in the US, Mexico, and Canada. We've got Messi chasing back-to-back miracle, Mbappe looking for revenge, and an England squad that finally looks like the real deal under Thomas Tuchel. The question is, would sparks be flying at the World Cup in 2026, given all this build-up? And then, next time, when we're talking about the World Cup, we'll probably ask, what can the host, US, Mexico, and Canada, offer us on the pitch? Would any surprise come from them? But for now, we hope that you stay tuned to the Match Query. Follow us, like, subscribe, turn on your notifications. We are on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, You can follow us on all the social media handles so you don't get to miss the query on football. Take care and have a wonderful time.